Hi, I'm Oren Franz. I am not a medical professional of any kind. I just have interest in abnormal psychology, criminology, and forensic psychology. Today we're going to talk about autism spectrum disorder and criminal activities. According to statistics, most people with autism spectrum disorders are 10 times more likely to be victims and 5 times less likely to commit crimes than the general population. However, the problem is that autism is a spectrum, and there are some scientists that argue that there must be a variant of concern of autism that may cause people to commit crimes. Some people. Another problem is that autism became more broad over the years. So, I wonder if there are another statistics of people with specifically people with high functioning autism committing crimes every day versus how many people in the general population commit crimes every day. I would want to see that study. What I want to see is that I want to see how many numbers of autistic people commit crimes every day versus how many people in the general population commit crimes every day. Because the problem is that autism is treated as a spectrum disorder. It's a spectrum. And I wonder if there are mixed cases of some people becoming psychopaths from being abused. And statistically, people with mental health and developmental disorders are 10 times more likely to be bullied than the general population. Especially people with autism spectrum disorder, which crime should be looked at carefully. So, according to statistics, most people with mental health and developmental disorders are 10 times more likely to be bullied than the general population. So, there are theories as to why some small groups of people with autism commit crimes. In theory 1, I don't know if this is theory or fact. In theory 1, you can be both autistic and psychopath at the same time. Number 2, you were neglected, abused, and bullied by your peers for so many years that you just don't care about society anymore and you committed crimes just for the heck of it. And number 3 is that autism is broadened so much over decades to the point where milder cases of autism goes undiagnosed until it's too late, until it's diagnosed too late, or until a person commits a crime and was suspected of having autism. According to Wikipedia, let me open up Wikipedia page. So, according to the behavior of high functioning autism, so the Wikipedia said that an association between high functioning autism and criminal behavior is not completely categorized. In the Wikipedia explained that there are several studies that have shown that the features related to high functioning autism may increase the probability of engaging in criminal behavior, and that there needs to be more study about it. And Wikipedia in the and even Professor Vaknin explained that there have been several case studies that the link there has been several case studies that link lack of empathy and social naivete associated with high functioning autism to criminal actions. I think what happens is I think the problem is that autism is such a wide spectrum that autism goes from profound intellectual disability all the way to autism with very high IQ. It's a wide spectrum. So a scale, a scale. Let's just use a scale of autism, right? People with profound intellectual disability are 20 times more likely to be victims and 10 times less likely to commit crimes than the general population. But as the symptoms of autism goes milder, milder, and milder, and milder, and milder, some scientists argued that there must be a concern of autism that can cause some people to commit crimes. So they blame it on high functioning autism. Now let's look at Wikipedia on Asperger's syndrome. Let me find it somewhere. Okay, so violent or criminal behavior in Asperger's syndrome. So the Wikipedia says that the hypothesis that individuals with AS are predisposed to violent or criminal behavior has been investigated, but is not supported by data. However, and the data supports the link between high functioning autism and criminal behavior. However, when it comes to Asperger's syndrome and especially low functioning autism, more evidence suggests that children diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome are more likely to be victims rather than perpetrators. I really hate how they say children because even adults can be diagnosed with autism. But okay, it's okay. It's really old Wikipedia page, it doesn't matter. Let me fix the answer. Let me reiterate it. More evidence suggests that children and adults diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome are more likely to be victims rather than offenders. But when it comes to high functioning autism, Wikipedia explains that there is a link between high functioning autism and criminal behavior, although there's need more studies about it. Let's look at low functioning autism. So I made my own fact. Most people with low functioning I needed to fix my answer a bit. So I made my own fact. Most people with low functioning Just 1 second. So I made my own fact that most people with low functioning autism are 20 times more likely to be victims and 10 times less likely to commit crimes than all other ASD and the general population combined. And that there still needs to be more study on low functioning autism, insanity, or diminished capacity defense due to profound lack of social skills and intellectual disability in some rare cases. I'm gonna post the links in the description below. And another problem, since autism is treated as a spectrum disorder, scientists are arguing that there must be a rare form of autism that causes people to commit crimes, which is called criminal autistic psychopathy. I hope we can discuss about this because those topics are getting complicated because most statistics and studies say the opposite. Most articles and most studies say that most people with autism spectrum disorder are more likely to be victims rather than being perpetrators. But I wonder if you can be a criminal and a victim at the same time. For example, you were a victim of being bullied for such a long time that you went nuts and attacked, assaulted, or even killed your bullies. Although it's rare, I think I think autism spectrum disorder and crime should be looked at carefully because even more people are being diagnosed with autism. And one thing I wanted to point out is that autism spectrum disorder is a broad developmental disorder to the point where even convicted criminals can be diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, even though statistics state that most people with autism spectrum disorder are more likely to be victims rather than being perpetrators. I hope you liked my video, like or subscribe to my video. Thank you.